your shit. Need a horn and a drum roll.
Talk to them boys that sit on them benches. I never talk to them boys that sit on them benches. I was in the game on 4th and inches.
Now it's time to go to work. There we go. What is going on, Florida State family? Seminole Nation. In the 863 tribe. There's your boy POLK, a.k.a. 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 the goddamn truth. It is good to see everybody back in here for another episode. I keep muting myself. My bad. Move that out the way. All right. Should be good. Mic check. Oh, I'm messing up here. My bad, guys. How am I sounding? Am I sounding all right? Okay. Yeah, I sound good. All right. All right. What's going on, y'all? My bad. Let's try that again. I muted myself in the middle of talking. Try that again. What is going on, everybody? It's your boy POLK, a.k.a. 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 the goddamn truth. You are on episode 84 The Hangover. We are going to recap some spring. We did some major moves this weekend on the portal. Well, let me take that back. Recruiting. And we do have some portal stuff to discuss. So a jam-packed show here tonight, man. Jam-packed show here tonight. A lot of good information. I'm going to break down the offense and defense. I'm going to just talk about kind of what I saw. I went back, rewatched the spring game. I know I did this, we did it live, but I want to go back and watch it without the distractions, because obviously while I'm doing it live, I'm looking at the chat. I'm looking at all these other things. And I just want to specifically look at certain players and position groups and kind of see how they fared. So you guys will get my takes on what I saw. And if you agree, we will discuss it. But, before we do all of that, we got to pay the bills. And we got to pay these bills because I'm sick of this blank wall behind me, right? So we got to get some stuff on this wall behind me. And I don't know what's going to be behind me. I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to put back here. So if you guys got any ideas, man, let me know what I should put on this blank canvas behind me. Just a white wall that we need to put something back there. Some pictures, some posters. I don't know. We need to put some Florida State stuff back here. I got some ideas, but I don't know. So if you guys got any ideas, let me know. And then we got to pay these bills, man. Hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. And share the video, man. Let everybody know we are live on the number one YouTube channel, number one Florida State YouTube channel, in my opinion. It doesn't get any realer. It doesn't get any more interactive. It doesn't get any raw, cut, dope around here. Doesn't get any better than 863 Seminole TV. We do it the best over here, in my opinion. So that's how we rocking And of course, before we jump into the news, we got a roll call coming up here shortly. So let me give y'all a couple seconds to get in that comment section. By the way, I'm watching these Knicks in the playoffs. Right now, we're tied up with Cleveland. Decent game so far. I like the way my Knicks play basketball this year. So I will be glancing up at my TV every now and then to see what's going on. Right now, it is 22-22. First quarter coming to an end. And yeah, Cleveland's trying to make a last-second bucket. And they do. So we go into the second quarter. It is 25-22. Cleveland is up. If you're a Knicks fan, man, shout out to you. If not, I don't care. What are you doing? So watching my Knicks right now. So yeah, man, get in that comment section. Let's hit this roll call up starting now. Island Boy is in the building. Louis P86, Matt J, Truth Be Told, Sporadics Media, a.k.a. my dog Chris, Todd Pope, Island Boy. I said you already, Island Boy, but you'll get 2 shout-outs today. Briley, Tyler, head member 863 Tribe, Brandon, Born Legacy, Vontae B, member 863 Tribe, Richard, Sane, Serve 5, member of the 863 Tribe. Will is also in the building. And keep coming, hit that chat up, man. I will be sure to acknowledge you as I see you come on through and show some love to you guys, man. One more thing also before we get started. Friday, I will again be in enemy territory. I've been invited on Seminole, Hurricane, Big Three. I gotta get used to that. I've been invited, let's just call him what he really is. I've been invited to Seminole T2Y's channel again. And this time we are going to talk recruiting. I don't know why he wants to talk recruiting with us right now. As you see what Miami's doing and you see what we doing. But he's setting himself up. So here we go. That's what we're going to do. Friday, man, tune into that. Need my Florida State fans to come in, show out, take over the chat like y'all did last time. We're going to talk some recruiting with the Miami Hurricane. I have no idea why they want to talk recruiting when it's not even – they are they looking like we was looking a couple years ago. But, yeah, we'll talk about that recruiting on Friday. So Friday, man, go over to Seminole. I keep saying Seminole. Big 3 T2Y. Go over to his channel, man. Check out. As we will be talking some recruiting over there. But enough about that. Let's get to the news, right? Before we talk about before we talk about Florida State Love and Serve 5, Rio Brown, see you in the building. Florida State Love and Serve 5, both members of the tribe. Brandon, I'm going to go over there and handle business like I usually do. But let's get with the news. And we're just going to start with the most recent news. And that is the transfer portal. So yesterday, a personal favorite of mine, Mr. Brendan Gant, linebacker, has decided to enter the transfer portal by way of Lakeland, Florida. This particular one is, I don't want to say it's not a surprise, and I'll say this. The reason I'll say it's not, it's a little bit of a surprise from this aspect, in my opinion. I don't know how anybody else feels. I thought Gant was content in his role to be a really good special team player and a situational backer who comes and plays hard, hits hard, can give you some quality snaps. I thought he was content in that role at this point in his career. Maybe he's not. Maybe he was, and exit interviews are happening, and maybe he was just encouraged to look for better opportunity elsewhere. It's possible. Gant is a little bit of a surprise just because I thought that because you need special team players, right? You need guys like Brendan Gant, in my opinion, guys that can be really good on the special teams for you. And then for them to kind of move on from him, or whether or not he made that decision himself, was interesting because either way, I thought he was content and I thought they valued what he brought. Maybe neither, maybe both are true. Maybe, who knows? But Brendan Gant has decided to hit the transfer portal. I wish him the best of luck for sure. Hopefully he goes out there and finds a spot. Maybe he goes to UCF. I'm about to say UFC. If he can do UFC, we see Reggie Northup. He's been doing MMA for a while now, knocking dudes clean out. So I don't know if that's in Brendan Gant's future, but by all means, if you can do UFC, go for it. But maybe he goes. I see him tweet some UCF stuff recently. Maybe that's where he's landing. Plus, it's close to home. That could be where he's leaning. Another portal addition. This one for me was way more surprising. For a couple reasons. Antavius Woody, a guy that I've been very high on from day one as a D tackle, who they originally got as an O lineman, moved him to D tackle. And crazy enough, and we'll get into this in my spring game review, the man played a lot of snaps in the spring. Now, granted, take that with a bit of a grain of salt. When you have no Fisk and no Lovett playing, that's probably why, and you're fielding two teams. But he didn't just get a lot of snaps. I thought he had a lot of good snaps in that game, playing alongside. He played most of his snaps alongside Tafasi, 51 and 91. Seemed to complement each other fairly well. And he hits the portal. There we go. Get the rebound. My bad. The game catching my attention. But so yeah, he hits the portal, man, and I think that's a bit. So here's the good news, right? We're not lacking for depth there. It's just a guy that I think wherever he ends up going, he has a ton of potential. I think he showed that in the spring game. He's not a finished product by any means, but he's a guy with high upside. I've always thought that about him. But it kind of goes back to kind of things that we've said in the past when it comes to recruiting certain areas. Something about these Mississippi kids, man. I know Woody's from Alabama. Something about these Bama kids, man, and these Mississippi kids and these Louisiana kids. I don't want to say don't recruit those areas, because if you can get quality players from there, you definitely try to get players from there. So I would never say don't recruit those areas, but don't recruit those areas. Like what Florida State's doing in this cycle is A1 perfect, because they are focusing on South Georgia and the state of Florida. That's all you need. Now, when Florida State was really in its prime and its heyday, not only did they do South Florida and just Florida in general in South Georgia, but they actually had a strong foothold right in that DMV area as well. Guys like Sweat, Levante Taylor, Eddie Goldman all came from that area. So that I would like to see them kind of get back into there. But back to the point on Woody, I have a feeling he ends up like at Auburn or something. I don't know that. It's unfortunate though. Again, a guy that I like, guy with high upside. It's almost like, do we waste the resources to recruit these kids? And really the bad part about Woody, in my opinion, and I'm not going to talk down on a guy that I was a fan of, and I'm still a fan of, and again, I hope he goes somewhere and excels. But you want to see a little bit more patience, because, yeah, you probably weren't going to get a lot of snaps this year with Fisk, Farmer, Fabo, Briggs, Lyons. Like, you were probably behind all of these guys. But next year, Fisk and Fabo are gone. Who knows? A lot of opportunity may have opened next year. And then, the sad part about it is this was a guy who couldn't qualify, and that other teams wouldn't even take. And Florida State stuck by its commitment to you, and you decided, but I don't want to harp too much on that. But I do think that's an interesting thing to look at, because I don't believe he was pushed out. So this isn't one of those exit interview things where I think he was told. I don't necessarily believe that. I think now I don't know, obviously. I'm just, again, y'all already know who I am. Just a random light-skinned dude on YouTube. So I don't know anything. My gut feeling tells me that he was not asked to leave. It's just something he's doing. And by all means, do the best for you and your family. But I just don't like Woody leaving. That's just me personally. Didn't give you a lot of production in his time here, but that doesn't mean he couldn't have in the future. And I think he's a promising young prospect, but we'll see where he goes. Before we move on to the good news of the good part of the news, let's go to the comment section like we do, man, and see what y'all talk about as we scroll up. I want to see where we start talking about Lakers Knicks finals. What up? I mean, I'd be down for it. LeBron don't want none of us. What's up? Born Legacy says, I thought you was gonna say you be in Miami. I was gonna say I'm taking you to Tootsie's. No, I won't be in Miami anytime soon. Maybe in September though. If I make that trip for LSU in Orlando, there's a chance I slide through South Florida. It's a pretty good chance I'll slide through South Florida. Briley says Graham had pretty much passed him, and DeMarco Ward's footsteps were loud. We'll talk about that as we get into the spring game. Definitely talk about that. Is Reggie back to playing football? I know he was doing MMA for a while. Is he playing Defenders? Is that XFL or the other one, USFL? Which one is Defenders? I didn't know Reggie was back to playing football, but it's good to see that too. Talented guy. He can do whatever he wants. Truth be told says, I think we'll have about 8 or 9 players at the portal. Yeah. So I think these two guys are kind of not guys that were initially expected. And they're both from the defense. I think we flat out, I think I can name 5 guys on the offense flat out. So if that is what it is, then easily that's 7, because I can name 5 guys off the bat, and even though one of those guys I would like to keep, I think kind of the writing may be on the wall. But Josh Burrell, Jackson West, Schrader, Estes, and Herring. I mean, those are 5 guys off the bat that if I'm Florida State, I mean, look, Jackson West, Preston Daniels is still getting way more snaps. Why is Jackson West still a scholarship player on this football team? We saw every tight end in the spring game except for who? No shocker to me if Jackson West hits. I would almost guarantee it at this point. Of course, we talked about the 3 offensive linemen at length. And Josh Burrell, unfortunately, another guy who I really like coming out, but he's been hurt. He's been hurt every offseason. He had another surgery this offseason, and maybe he just needs a fresh start. Like they say, the best ability is availability, and you can be as talented as you want, but if you're not available to play, it's a moot point. It's all for nothing. Burrell, I think he has a body type that's similar to Jaheim Bell, and maybe he could be that, but the guy can't never get on the field. They moved him from running back to receiver. He's even listed on the official website as just an athlete. They don't have a position for him. At this point, maybe you just cut bait with Josh Burrell, unfortunately. Give him a fresh start as FSU is starting to kind of recruit over the likes of a Josh Burrell. He's never going to see the field due to injury. And just the fact that FSU is recruiting a different quality of player at this point, it's time to probably move on from Burrell. So those are just 5 guys off the bat on offense. Couple that with the 2 defensive players, that's already 7, right? That's already 7, truth be told. So, I don't think it's going to be hard to reach the 8 or 9. It's not going to be hard to reach that. It's not going to be hard to reach that. Everybody's like, let's go to Tootsie's. Look, if I come through South Florida, how many of y'all really gonna try to swim? If y'all trying to really go, I'll make it happen. We can make it happen. But I don't want to hear everybody be down to go. Then when I get down there, I can't get in contact with none of y'all. But we can make it happen. DJ, we can make it happen. We can make it happen. Born Legacy. We can make it happen. We can make it happen. Sane, let's make it happen. I like Estes too, Bradley. I'm not gonna lie to you. I just have a feeling. But I've been saying it all along. I like Estes. But it just seemed like he did play some in the spring. But it just seems like some other guys got way more quality snaps than him, like a Jalen Early, who played a lot and played well. I don't know, man. I just don't know if there's, I just don't know. I just don't know. Just don't know. So let's hit that like button, by the way, man. Hit that like button. Subscribe if you're new. Share the video. But hit that like. Let's go, man. Recruiting. Big weekend for recruiting, man. Before the spring game we even started, LaWayne McCoy out of Miami, listed as an athlete, 6 foot, 170. He committed, which was kind of a surprise to me. I don't know if anybody else was really tracking if he was gonna commit. So it kind of surprised some people. Matter of fact, it even surprised Miami fans. That's where the Twitter feed that night. I'm telling you, man, if you're not on FSU Twitter, you are missing out on just pure entertainment. Man, I look up in the Knicks. What is going on? 33-24. We finished the first quarter, I think, with 22. We have scored 2 points in the entire second quarter. What is going on? Man, sorry. I know you weren't surprised, Born Legacy. You were telling me about him, but Miami fans seemed to be shocked. As a matter of fact, one of their valued sources one of the sources, he didn't even know. He didn't know the moment the man committed. He didn't even know he committed. He was still talking trash about us not getting him. And the man had already posted that he committed. Again, get on Twitter, bro, if you're not. Just for pure entertainment. You don't got to interact. You don't have to interact. Just get on there for the pure entertainment aspects. That's why I'm on there. I do tweet a lot, but it's all just for fun for me. It's all pure entertainment. And I'll just block you if you bother me too much for the most part, or mute you at the very least. So LaWayne McCoy, man, again, 6 foot, 170 athlete nationally. Now this is according to 247. 247 nationally, he's 330th player in the nation, 30th athlete, and the 49th ranked player in the state of Florida, 4-star, and they have him at a .90 grade. On threes, got him as 298 player in the nation, 32 at his position, and the 43rd player in the state of Florida. But they have him not listed as an athlete. They have him listed as a receiver. And they grade him at a .89. So they a little bit lower of a grade on him, but he has higher rankings, at least nationally, than 247 has him. I saw a clip of him catching a one-handed pass. FSU's recruiting a wide receiver position. They do value him as a receiver, from my knowledge. And what's going on, Peter? Good pickup. I don't know how. So that's how we're going to talk about. Some of these guys, I think it is what it is as far as sticking. This one, I don't know if Miami's going to try to get him back, because they were feeling really good about this one a week ago. They thought they had this one. And for us to get that kind of surprise commitment took them aback a little bit. But according to Miami fans, they feel like he ain't sticking, but we've heard this from them before. But we'll see. They don't think he's going to stick. They think he ends up in their class. It's a recruitment to watch, because Mario and company, they are going to go for it. They're going to try to get him back in the fold. Because if you ain't paid attention to what Miami got going on in recruiting right now, it's looking real 3-star-ish. a matter of fact, it's looking remember that? Remember when I talk about the way our linebacker recruiting and the fact that we keep getting these unranked linebackers? I don't even know you were back there. Yeah, that's what their entire recruiting board looks like. That last like 3 commitments have been a bunch of unranked 3-stars, bro. It's Miami's gonna want this one. They need this one bad because they ain't really recruiting much right now on the trail. So that's going to be a recruitment to watch going forward. They will try to fight for this young man to get back in the fold. We'll see. Florida State's in the mix for a lot of other receivers. So I don't know. I don't know if Lil Wayne McCoy, if I'm being honest with you, I don't know if he ends up in the class or not. He might not feel like he's a priority when it's all said and done in the FSU class because FSU has not stopped recruiting receivers. I think FSU is going to try to sign about 5 of these receivers, 4 or 5. So we'll see what happens with McCoy. But as of right now, he is committed to the Noles. BJ Gibson, he commits on Saturday after the spring game out of Rochelle, Georgia. He's also listed as an athlete. He's also 6 foot 170, nationally 274, position 34, state 44. That is according to 247, 4-star. They have him as at 89.8950. On 3 has him 356, 56 at his position, 43rd in his state. But they, again, have him listed as a receiver. He's also a baseball player, by the way, 4-star, 89.30. That is what On 3 has him rated as. This is a guy that I actually, if you go back and watch the live stream, I predicted we got him that day. I said there was 2 guys that if we get commits this weekend, 2 guys I predicted. One was BJ, and the other one was the interior O lineman. Starts with a Z. So don't get me lying on what's his name or trying to pronounce that. Those are the 2 guys. I hit on BJ. Think I will hit on the other guy later, but he didn't commit this weekend. So shout out to BJ, man. Welcome to the tribe. Again, he's also a baseball player, and I don't think there's no worries here. Florida had him in their crosshairs. So you beat Mario for the first guy, you beat Florida for the second guy. Florida fans will pretend like they weren't recruiting him, and then all you got to do is check the offers, check the post, and Florida was very actively recruiting. As a matter of fact, he had recently visited Florida, but ask Florida fans, and they'll claim they weren't even recruiting him, and they didn't even give him an offer yet. All that stuff is obvious and easy to look up. So you beat Billy and you beat Mario for 2 wide receivers right there, one in-state, one out of state. But the big fish, bro. Matter of fact, before we get to the big fish, let me check y'all comments real quick. Let me check y'all comments because the big fish is the big fish. You stop beating Cuban Jesus and beating G5 Billy don't really mean much. But when you beat that big dog in Georgia, in Athens, that Florida State alumnus, he's a Florida State grad. When you beat that guy, 2-time back-to-back national championship, you beat him for a prospect. Well, that's worth talking about. Well, let's get to the comments real quick. VJ says negative on The Office. So we're not going to The Office because Born Legacy and VJ say that's a no-go. But Tootsies, I got it. Let's do it. Coral Gables is full of mouth breathers. A point, laugh, throw a tomato. They're here to endure ridicule for our amusement, and they know it. What's up, Matthew? Peter Shields, member of the tribe in the building. Man, that kid loved FSU. But like y'all say, it's a recruiting game. But I feel comfortable based off talks, personal. He loved it there. Real 3-star is CHANT was a nice pickup. Finally, a receiver. You're talking about that guy y'all recently got. What about them other guys y'all got, though? The unranked O-lineman, the unranked. Y'all got some unranked guys here. Unranked running back. Y'all got a bunch of unranked no-stars. What do you think about those evaluations, Zay? Just curious. Are they good takes? Could y'all do better? I don't know. I was told Mario was a master. I was told Mario was going to build a fence around Dade County, and nobody was ever going to go into South Florida and get nothing else again. That's what I was told. Oh, I got the car in my hand. That's what I was told. That's what I was told. I was told Mario was the man. Now he recruit who he wants, when he wants, and that he was building the fence. If Mario built the fence, it must be like, I don't know. POLK Miami out of money. Let's not even talk about the bag man down there. Looking like a lot of fraud going down there in Death Wallet. Zan Mandela. Yeah, that guy. Mario Cristobal isn't as high as fans thought he would be in recruiting. Winning games is important to recruiting. Miami went the Texas A&M route. Buy the best players, they can hope for the best. After this season, watch for the mass exodus. Lil Wayne looked more like a cornerback to you. I think they're recruiting him as a receiver though. That's what I believe. But he is an athlete, so they may try him. Maybe Pat Surtain wants him over there. I don't know. But I think as of right now, they view him as a receiver. I just pictured Ruiz trying to borrow his Selly's phone to tweet about how important he is and how the U is back. Diamonds in the rough. Man, I wish we would have picked up Ulikith Brown when he would enter the portal from Texas, and my man, he would fit perfect in the system. They 3 stars, get it right, bro. But they unranked, bro. you know better, Zay. They unranked. And then they get that 3-star bump, but they was unranked. Sounds like DVD was the man. Oh, yeah, and DVD left. What is going on down there in Coral Gables, man? And Sane says, come on, guys. No office eye. Tootsie's is more eye than Tootsie's. It is Mario was a flashy toy with the church shoes. And Peter Shields, you a fool boy. Landon freaking Thomas. 5-star tight end out of Moultrie, Georgia. 6'4", 235 pounds. 247 says him has the 24th overall player in the entire country, the number 1 player in his position, and the number 5 player in the state of Georgia. 0.9877 is his grade. On 3, he has him as, they actually have him listed as 3 pounds heavier. Not a big deal there. But they actually have him as a top 20 player in the nation, as 247 has him right outside the top 20. Both have him as the number 1 player at his position and the number 5 player in his state. And they actually have him graded a little lower at 0.9681. This one's huge, y'all. This is one. There were rumblings about this one that started Saturday and Sunday. And I was aware of those rumblings, but I didn't comment. I didn't tweet. I didn't want to entertain that because I'll be honest with you, I didn't see it. But I do know he was at the spring game. And a lot of people were saying, hey, man, they got him. Georgia had a spring game the exact same day we did, and Florida State got him down there. I was like, cool, that's what's up. You got to keep recruiting a guy like that. He was once committed to you as a sophomore. Then, of course, you play badly on the field, and he decides to go elsewhere. Can't blame him, right? You get him down there for the spring. I'm like, oh, that's a good look. I'm thinking in my head, okay, another good season or so, and you back in there. Maybe by National Signing Day, you can flip that. I didn't expect to flip over the weekend, man. They knocked this one out the park. They shocked me. They shocked the hell out of me with this one. I didn't see it. I know he was a former commit, but Chris Thompson had never given me a reason to believe in him before until now. So let's just call it what it is. Tight end recruiting outside of the portal has been about as atrocious as it gets. Okay. And now all of a sudden you get the best tight end since Nick O'Leary. And now I'm actually curious, and I don't know if anybody's looked this up. I think I might look it up actually right now, as a matter of fact. What was Nick O'Leary? I know Nick O'Leary was a 5-star coming out. But what was his grade? I want to see who was graded higher. There's a chance that this kid is the best, highest rated tight end you've ever recruited. I'm waiting for it to load. Bro, what are you doing? There we go. So according to 247, Nick O'Leary was the number 27 player in the in the nation at a .9876. Landon Thomas is a .9877. Wow. So Landon Thomas barely beats out Nick O'Leary as the greatest tight recruit now. Now, of course, Landon Thomas is going to have to get on the field. Nick O'Leary is the undisputed GOAT tight end in Florida State. But you just recruited and got to commit as the highest rated tight end in the history of your school. Correct me if I'm wrong. Shout out to Mike and crew, man. That one's huge. There's no sugarcoating that one. That's huge, man. You took the number one tight end in the state of Georgia, in the United States, and not only you didn't take him from G5 Billy. You didn't take him from Cuban sandwich Jesus down there in Coral Gables. You took this man from Kirby freaking Smart. You took him from Kirby Smart, 2-time back-to-back natty. Like I said, man, big dogs are starting to bark. Big dogs are starting to bark. And I tweeted this today, and I wholeheartedly believe this because I've said this on this channel before, and I'll say it again. When Florida State gets to rolling, there's proof that this program doesn't just, we're not Miami. We're not even Florida. No, though Florida has more recent proof. When FSU starts getting the ball rolling, when that program is invested, as you can see, the program as a whole is now invested in this football team from NIL to everything. We start making noise. And not just we start making noise at the top of the college football world. This was huge. This could signify a whole bunch of dominoes that start falling as far as recruiting wise go. Big dogs starting to bark, y'all. Big dogs are starting to bark. Okay, Brandon Warren was the best guy we've ever got. Shout out to Brandon Warren, but he ended up transferring from here. So at the end of the day, it's Nick and Landon Thomas. But good point there from EMAC. We'll get to these Landon Thomas comments, and then we're gonna move into reviewing this spring game. But yeah, that was huge, man. That one was huge. Gotta love what we did there. Didn't see it coming personally, but that one was pretty dope. Matt J says, and I've actually heard this from a lot of people, Matt. Not just you, but I've heard that Landon has some of the best tight end tape as a high schooler that a lot of people have ever seen. So keep Coach. I ain't worried about Coach Prime Panama. I'm just letting you know. No knock on Dion, bro, but I think Knicks are getting whooped by 20. The second quarter has been abysmal. We have 38 points in the second quarter. Back to the point. I think some of that Dion recruiting kind of, I don't know. I think they're in for a long season. I don't know if y'all have seen the type of players that they're putting on the field over there in Colorado, but I think they're in for a long season. I'm not worried about Prime, but we'll see what Prime does. I'm not worried about Prime right now. Like Brandon just said, I ain't worried about Prime taking nobody from our class. He got his own problems up there at Colorado. Jackson was a very being an HBCU. Jackson was a very niche school to spin and to sell. It being an HBCU and all of that. You don't have that anymore at Colorado. You don't have that HBCU allure that you had. I just don't. A lot of things are going to get exposed in Boulder. And I'm not even saying he's a bad coach. But my point is, we're going to find out a lot. Unfortunately, that roster ain't up to snuff. But we're going to find out a lot from that Colorado team this year. I'm going to watch, though. I'm going to watch almost every game they have just because I'm going to be interested in watching it. Chris Thompson, ace recruiter. I don't know if I want to call him ace, but shout out to getting this one. Shout out to the portal that he just, Morlot, Jaheim Bell. Nick O'Leary played for the Dolphins. That's all I know. We've got rivals in them full. I said it on Twitter. That games have to be played. It don't work on this side of the tracks. We've already played the game. We won 10 games last year and are bringing back those players that won those games who are now a year better. That don't work over here. Games have to be played, don't work on this side of the tracks. That don't work over here. Yeah, man, we getting whooped right now, bro. We getting whooped right now. Tyler says this offensive class is looking crazy. I think we land Aidi, Zamandela, and probably I agree with you. I think we land all three of those old linemen. Lester's definitely. I think we've talked about this with Lester. Lester's FSU's to lose. I mean, he was visiting Georgia, tweeting about FSU commitments. FSU is Lester's FSU. If FSU loses Lester, it's because they dropped the ball, the bag, whatever you want to call it. Something went really sour and awry there. Lester might be the worst kept secret in the country as far as being like a silent commit. And I personally don't even believe in silent commits. But I do think Lester's visiting and he's exercising his options, but Lester might be the worst kept secret in America. And if FSU loses out on that, then they fumbled the bag. I would go back to questioning our recruiting. But Pat, I don't foresee Pat dropping the bag or Mike dropping the bag there. So what's up, BB? Prime going 8-4. Okay, what's going on, D. Thompson? Honestly, Matthew, if Colorado wins 4 to 5 games, I think that's a success. I'm gonna be 100% real with you. If Deion wins 4 to 5 games in year one, I think that's a success. By the way that team looks, then that's just on the practice field. I ain't worried about Colorado or Clemson, but we do need to beat Clemson. I'm with you there. You think we get KJ Bolden? I'm not sure about KJ Bolden. That's a recruitment that one. If you land KJ, holy hell! But that's a big dog recruitment right there too. That's a slugfest with Bolden. We'll see if Florida State gets in the. I mean, I would say we're in the mix, but we'll see if FSU really, really gets in the mix for Bolden. But let's get to it, man. Spring game. I want to talk about this spring game because there's a lot of things I like about there's nothing to like about this basketball game, but there's a lot of things I like from the spring game. Shout out to my man Jeff. Says just got home. What did I miss? We spent the first hour. Wow, I didn't realize I spent an hour on simply talking the transfer portal, Woody, Gant, and about the recent commits we just got. So this show might go a little longer than I expected because I'm going to go over the spring game. And we're going to start going over the spring game right now. But let me first give Jeff his props. Yes.
Name Jeff.
We're gonna start on the offensive side of the ball. And we're gonna start inside out. So that's how I watched it. When I rewatched it, I focused inside out. I focused on that O-line and then everything out after that. I found it very interesting what the starting O-line was and what the second unit was. So that's what we're gonna start with. So from left to right, your starting O-line was Bless, Roddick, Smith, Meach, and Darius. And then your second unit from left to right was Armella, Early, Stickle, Jones, and Byers. I gotta say, man, Bless looked really good Saturday. Bless Harris. Shout out to Bless. He's a guy that I might have been dismissing this offseason. And I shouldn't have been. Because he showed me that a lot of the practice hype he was getting was warranted because they were lining Pat and Burst over Bless, and he was holding his own. He was holding his own against both of those guys. Shout out to Bless. I feel incredible knowing that I'm getting Robert Scott back, and I can move, and that right tackle spot might be as strong as the left tackle spot, if not stronger. I mean, I don't know. I was just about, and Lewis makes a great point that I was just about to say. They may put Bless at left and move Robert Scott to right tackle with the way he performed in this spring game. I really got to give Bless Harris a shout out. He played extremely well. He was, I don't want to say handling, but he was doing more than holding his own against Pat and Burst. If you go watch the reps, I noticed that on the replay. I was like, wow, Bless Harris is really, really playing extremely well. And Darius Washington played very well as well. Yeah, Darius Washington was very, very good. Darius Washington played well. I thought the tackles played well from the starting unit. I thought the tackles played extremely well. Both. I thought both tackles played extremely well. Darius did a great job at that right tackle spot. And again, I don't think Robert Scott is in danger of losing a starting spot, but he could very well be moved to right tackle off of that Bless Harris performance. He could very well, and Washington continues to show that he is Washington continues to show that he is the most valuable offensive lineman off the bench. Like he's just versatile and can do all those good things. I thought Roddick, as we just go down the starting O-line, and I'm gonna go to the second unit. I thought Roddick did some good things. They pulled him a lot. He had some battles with Jackson, where Jackson got a little bit of a push on him, but I thought Roddick looked well. I thought the starting O-line as a whole looked well. Maurice, anybody correct me in the comment section here. I did not see Maurice get blown up this spring. Go watch Maurice last spring to this spring. I thought Maurice Smith looked very, very good. He continues to improve. And then Meach was Meach. Now, Meach had a play, and again, this goes back to Antavius Woody, and I'm not so sure why Woody's hitting the portal. There was a play where Woody actually got the better of Meach. As a matter of fact, it was the play. Now, I don't know if this was a communication issue between Meach and I think it was the right tackle. But on that play, Jordan Travis threw to Portier for the touchdown. Woody blows right past Meach. I don't know if Woody was more explosive than Meach anticipated, or there was a communication breakdown there. The way that play was shot, it was really hard to see what happened. But what I do know what happened is Woody blew right past him. And I thought that was a great rep by Woody. But for the most part, man, starting O-line did the thing. I thought they played extremely well. I thought for the most part, they actually handled your starting D-line. Second unit. Let's go to second unit on the offense. We're going to start with offense, guys. Then we'll move to defense. I got to give Jeff another shout out, man. He hit me with a $10 don't know. He says, Buzz Harris at left tackle, Roberts right tackle. Then where do you put left guard and right guard and center? We're going to get into this O-line talk. That's one of the reasons why I wanted to specifically watch Inside Out. That's how I watched the spring game on my rewatch.
More money. More money.
Name Jeff.
Second unit, Armella. Armella, I thought, played well. Armella still needs work. What gets Armella is the defender's second move. Armella covers the first move very well. But the second move, he tends to get lost. And that's where he tends to get in some trouble. Armella's initial block is usually pretty spot on. He tends to get in trouble on the second move. Defenders kind of tend to lose him on the second move. Young player, but he's got the size, man. He's got the body. Armella's got a lot of great tools to work with in the future, man. But he's still a young player, and he still does have work. Armella still has work. But got to be promised. I thought Armella played well, and Armella played well against, Gilbert, like a guy that we thought would control. And we'll get to the defense, but he looked pretty good against the likes of Gilbert Edmond. I thought Armella looked good against. Now he struggled against Pat and Verse, but that's Pat and Verse. But against every other defensive end, again, he blocked up that initial move very well. It was the kind of the double moves and the get backs that were getting him. Armella's good player though. Nothing to be worried about Armella. Promising. Early again, I thought Early and Armella complement each other very well. I didn't see any glaring things. Dan Squad says, good point. Armella lunges a little bit. That's kind of what I'm getting at. Like because he lunges, he kind of gets lost on the second move or whatever. But back to Early, I thought Early and Armella complement each other very well. I can't think of a play that I saw Early get blown up on. There may have been some, but I didn't see any. I thought Early played very well. I think Early is a very promising guard for the future, man. I really do. Stickles the guy that we got to get up out of here. I saw him get blown up a few times. The Stickles credit, man, he snaps the ball well. He's the guy that the reason Stickles in there, and I see some of y'all talking about Quayshawn. Let's address Quayshawn right now. Quayshawn is a work in progress. Quayshawn, as of right now, I think Quayshawn Sapp. Quayshawn Sapp is your project center for the future. The problem is he's still a project. And you saw that in the spring the few times he got in there. Sapp he's in need of a lot of work. That's okay. It's okay. He's in need of a lot of work. And then because of that is why you see a guy like Stickle in there that constantly gets those second team reps. But we know in game situations, my guess is it's Mo. I think it would be Mo. Darius would be the first guy off the bench if Maurice was to get hurt. And then I think Roddick would be your emergency center. And you could even move Early. I think Early would play guard very well for you. If you needed to, you can move Darius to guard, as Darius has played every position on the O-line. And maybe you move Roddick in there. I think, obviously, Stiggle's not going to see the field during the season. But for what he was asked to do in the spring game, he was fine. He's a walk-on. He's undersized. It is what it is there. Jones and Byers were very interesting in the spring. Briley says, Armella got to learn to trust his feet. Yeah. Armella just need reps. Trust your technique. It's a bit of a cliche, but when Armella reaches, he's not trusting. Good point on the Armella stuff, guys. Good point. Truth be told, I think a starting center needs to gain more weight this summer. Maurice is what he is, bro. We can't keep expecting Maurice to be a 330-pounder. For me, at the end of the day, if Maurice is 290, we're good. We're good. 290, we're good. Absolutely. Great point. Every one of our second, I'm wholeheartedly. That's the sleeps and bounds we've made, y'all, on this O-line. Dan Squatch is hitting the nail on the damn head. Armella early, hell, maybe even stick like Jones, all those guys start 18, 19, 20. No doubt those guys are by far better than anything we've had. And that's just the second unit. Let's get to Jones and Byers, though. I thought Byers stood out more to me than Jones, and not in a good way. He wasn't terrible, Byers. I think Byers plays with the nastiness and the edge that I like. But woo, I don't know if tackles for Byers. I can see now why people, and I was one of the guys that always thought Byers would play right tackle for you, but I can kind of see maybe now why they want to move him inside. He was getting whooped, and he was getting whooped by the likes of Dante Anderson. He was getting whooped by the likes of Byron Turner. So Byers got to move inside. And if Byers is moving inside, I'll be honest with you, we might not see Byers or Jones on the field this year. The good news about that is both guys have 2 years of eligibility. So they got this year and another year that they, so they can come back next year. I don't know if either one of those guys is better than Roddick or Meach. At least not Byers at tackle. He was getting worked. Byers was getting worked. Jones didn't play as bad as Byers. I don't think Jones played bad, to be fair with you. But Byers, Byers had some issues. He wasn't terrible, but he was getting worked a little bit. Byers was getting worked a little bit, and it surprised me. But there's a reason I think why people were calling him a guard, and he made the leap where he's not at UTEP anymore. You feel me? He's not at UTEP anymore. But those are really the first and second units there, and those are the guys that stood out. I kind of just wanted to go through those specific players. Now they rotated a little bit of everybody. Simmons got some play at. I saw Simmons out there. We talked about Sapp. I saw Estes get a little bit. I saw Schrader out there for a little bit. I even think I saw Herring out there for a little bit. They rotated a lot of offensive linemen. I don't recall if I saw Charlton. I think I saw Dontre Richardson out there. They rotated a little bit of everybody, though, on that offensive line unit. Let's move on. Let's move on to the running backs, man. Let me get you guys' last thoughts on these this O-line, and then we'll move on to the running backs. Speed rush killed him. Turner was eating Byers' lunch. When Keandre flashes, man, he's got foot speed. Most guys ain't got it at that size. He's got a 3-step that's hard to deal with. He's got to do everything else consistently, but his upside, if he puts it all together, is higher than Byers. Ceiling may be a little way to quantify it. Okay. Good stuff from Dan Squatch, man. Byers, welcome to a different level from UTEP. He'll be good. Give it time. Let's talk about these running backs. CJ and Rodney stood out, man. LT was good too. LT definitely looked bigger. I know people were really talking about LT looking bigger. I thought CJ played really, really well, y'all. I thought Rodney looks like a guy that they're going to want to use like Toafili. They kind of use Rodney this almost identical to the way they use Toafili as a receiver out the backfield and a guy that they give between the tackles every now and then. But CJ was obviously the guy that they wanted to focus on running between the tackles. And Hill's got to work on his ball security. Rodney Hill had a fumble. As a running back, you got to hold on to the football. And that's Rodney. That's one way to find yourself on that bench really quick. And I think Rodney's got all the talent. I think everybody in the chat will say Rodney Hill has all the talent in the world. He's the guy that I loved coming out of high school. Even though he was a 3-star, I thought he was a great guy, great addition. But if you can't hold on to the ball, that's how you're going to find yourself on the bench. I know a lot of people have a lot of hopes for Rodney, and we didn't get to see Keziah Holmes. But if Rodney ain't holding on to the football, guess what? Keziah Holmes is going to be getting those snaps. You know, and we didn't get to – Trey Benson played sparingly, so no big deal. Obviously, you don't care that Trey Benson didn't play, right? We know what Trey is. My only nitpick on Rodney's, man, is hold on to the football. Hold on to the football because that'll find you on the bench really quick. But Toafili, we know what LT is, and I thought CJ. The only bad part about CJ is he put in a lot of good work. I just don't know if there's. I'll be honest with you guys. I don't know if there's snaps for CJ. That's not a knock on CJ. CJ is a damn good walk-on player. Damn good. I just think what CJ gives you, Benson and probably Holmes give you, you know, and then CJ doesn't have the same skill set as LT or Rodney Hill for him to see the field. But I love what I saw out of CJ, if I'm being honest. And yeah, that's why you say chance we see Campbell in the portal. It's possible. You know, I know CJ's a walk-on, so him hitting the portal doesn't affect the scholarship numbers, I don't think. So I don't know if it benefits Florida State with him hitting the portal, but it's a chance that CJ could be like, you know what, I see the room. I mean, even if he can't hit, if CJ can't hit the field this year, you think he's gonna hit the field when Cam gets on campus? Like, let's be honest, probably not. So it's possible you could see CJ say, "Thanks for the opportunities," but I just don't see a path for me to play. And but that speaks to the talent of that room, and we know that running back room is loaded with talent. I know he's put on weight, but I still want to see Toafili at like 205, 208. Rodney got to work on that fumbling. If CJ stayed, we got to show love for real. He can go get a ride. Yeah, man, I like CJ. He's on the academic Scully. There's still a chance though that he can walk though. There's still a chance he can leave. Even, you know, I mean, it just depends on how much CJ cares about like playing. Holmes was out, yeah, so we didn't get to see Keziah Holmes, which I'm a little bit disappointed because I did want to see Holmes because he looked great in workouts, but that's workouts, right? Without the pads. I wanted to see Holmes, but we didn't get to see him, unfortunately. Yeah, and Singletary's not even on campus yet, you know? So that running back room, man, that running back room is loaded. Receivers, y'all. Receivers. Vandrevious Jacobs, they hyped him up all offseason. Had some good moments. He had some great catches, some contested catches. They tried some things with him early that I understand why they ran it. I don't think that play is getting run for him during the season. But what you do is you allow your team to kind of set up the blocks there. You practice running that play. But that jet sweep, I keep talking about that jet sweep, and they gave it to Jacobs. I think that's a bell play when the time comes. And we'll talk about the tight ends here in a second. But Tron was the guy that stood out at wide receiver, right? He had a great catch. One-handed catch that was thrown by A.J. Duffy on the sideline. I mean, great catch on a great pass from Jordan Travis. I mean, Tron solidified, I think, that number 2 spot. Tron went out there and did his thing. Johnny sat out. We did not get to see wide receiver 1, which is fine, which is absolutely fine. We don't need to see Johnny, or didn't need to see him. Johnny sat out. Obviously, Micah's out with an injury. Winston played. Ja'Kai Douglas played. Hakeem played. Jacobs played. We didn't see Darian Williamson either. Anybody correct me if I'm wrong there, which I think that's concerning if he's hurt again, because that's been his problem, is that he stays hurt. And I just, you know, unless you're telling me that they were just keeping him out for caution, then that's fine. But if he's hurt again, at what point do you move on from that one? Because you keep telling me how great he is, and he continues to be injured. So we didn't get to see. I don't recall. Maybe anybody can correct me, but I don't believe we saw him in the spring. I don't remember seeing him. And then Deuce Span. I'm gonna jump the gun here personally, and maybe he'll prove me wrong. I think the Deuce Span experiment probably is about over. I'm not really seeing it. Not really seeing it. For a guy that's supposed to be this speed demon and at 6'5" or whatever he is, I just don't see it from Deuce. You know, by all means, maybe he can prove me wrong. They don't even send this guy on like go routes. I don't know. I'm not seeing it, and I'm starting to think that the Deuce Span experiment is going to be a failure, which is okay. It is what it is. Not everything that you took in the portal is going to hit every time. And you took what, 4 receivers out of the portal? You hit on 2 for sure. Winston Wright remains to be seen. Unfortunately, he got hurt. My guess is, though, you're going to hit on 3 of those wide receivers you took in Micah Pittman, Winston Wright, and Johnny Wilson. Deuce Span just seems to be the guy that's not, I'm starting. I don't see it. I don't see it. And maybe somebody sees something I don't. But I don't see it. I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing it in his route running. I'm not seeing it. He might have some straight line speed on him, but I'm not even seeing it like in his cuts, his route. I don't see it. I don't see it, unfortunately. Yeah. Deuce can play returner. He can be a weapon, but maybe he changes positions to what? What would Deuce possibly change positions to, Sam? I don't know. Deuce is fast, but not quick in a phone booth. Mike shot a shot on that one. Yeah, exactly. Like that last sentence, man. It's just the cost of doing business. You took a project. Like you said, you tried something, it didn't work, but you hit on pretty much everything else. So it's not a big deal. I'm just pointing out what I saw, and I'm starting to think that Deuce just isn't the guy. McClain did nothing at Penn State. I didn't watch Penn State, but I wish the best for McClain. And Panama says, I think he does well on reverses if it's blocked well. Well, I think a lot of people can run a reverse well if it's blocked. Me too. I'm excited to see what we get right. I think they purposely didn't use certain players on purpose. Speaking of certain players not being used, let's talk about this tight end position, because tight end position is a very interesting position in the spring. The individual play, you could argue, well, they didn't target Jaheim Bell enough, even though I know he had at least one catch for sure. It ain't about necessarily individual stats for the tight ends that I want people to pay attention to. It's the way we used them. I was fascinated. I want to say every single formation was a 2 tight end look, where they had one in the slot and one flexed out over the left tackle. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but I think every single formation we ran offensively was a combination of a 2 tight end look, which I am extremely excited about. They always had at least one guy flexed outside the tackle and one guy in the slot. And it was a combination of Biscuit. It was a combination of Biscuit and Bell and Morlock and Biscuit. And am I off there when I say that's what I saw? I don't know if you guys saw the same thing. And Dan Squatch, I see what you're saying, but I honestly believe that was by design. I don't think they purposely went there with Jaheim Bell and how he's going to be used. First of all, we all know it's the spring, and we all know offense is running some really vanilla stuff. It wasn't about the way they used Bell. It wasn't really about the way they used any of the tight ends. Hell, even Preston Daniels flexed out there, and he got a couple of targets. It wasn't really about the targets or the catches for me from the tight end room. It was how they were being utilized and the looks we were given offensively. I am excited to see that. You just mean his explosion. That's fair. Again, I don't really think they put Bell in a position to show that, though. But I could be wrong there. I could be wrong there. I think Bell's going to be fine. And if these multiple tight end looks is what we're going to be getting, again, I am extremely excited about this offense. And all the tight ends to me, you're talking about Bell maybe don't have the quickness, but we've seen the quickness, right? From Bell at South Carolina. I don't think he just came to Florida State and that stuff left him. But I thought Morlock, man, looked well. Biscuit is still, in my opinion, Biscuit's still he's 1 or 2. Biscuit, he's 1 or 2. And of course, you got Bell, who I think they purposely didn't show a lot of things with him. I think he'll be fine. Extremely love what I saw from the tight end room, even though the stats might not say that. If you actually watch the way they were lining up and the formations, I love the way the tight ends were featured in this spring showcase. Let me stop saying spring game, because obviously it's a showcase, right? So yeah, I mean, I don't know what you guys thought on the tight end. You guys feel the same way about tight end, or did y'all want to see more from that tight end room? Or what do you guys want? I thought I was excited from what I saw from the tight end room, but that's just because I wasn't looking for necessarily production, but just the way they were lined up and utilized. I was extremely excited about that. Morlock will be better in 24 than 23, but for a guy that size, he's criminally smooth. I thought Morlock looked fine. And I'm with you. I think he's going to be a player. I think he's going to be a player this year. If they're playing 2 tight ends all the time, Morlock's going to be a player this year. He's going to get more than enough opportunities. I think Bell is still figuring it out. He's never really played traditional tight end at this level, and Norvell's forcing him to learn the position before he cuts him loose as a flex. Like in and out break, short area quickness. No, I know it's there. I just expected it to blind it by the flash. Got you. Might not going to show his hand in the spring. One thing I will say is Hakeem is big for his age. I thought he would be smaller, but Instagram ain't do justice. Didn't really talk much about Hakeem when talking about the receivers. He did catch a touchdown. They tried to force him some stuff earlier. Hakeem he's a young player, man, that still has some work to do. But he's got all the physical tools that you want. He might lack maybe some, as Briley put it, in a phone booth type quickness. Hakeem might lack, but I don't think his game necessarily needs that. Hakeem kind of remind, for a comparison, man, Hakeem might be like a Brandon Marshall type of player. A lot of people were saying Julio Jones. I don't know if he's Julio Jones, but Brandon Marshall I could see, which is a damn good receiver. And then we'll end up on, before we get into the defense, again, man, this one's going to go a little longer, bro. This one's going to go a little longer than I usually do, but a lot of news that we put out on this show, a lot of news that's happening around Florida State, and then the big spring showcase. I got to hit on everything. I owe y'all to hit on everything. That's what y'all here for. Y'all want to hear my opinions on everything that we saw. The 3 quarterbacks, I thought the quarterbacks were fine. I thought the quarterbacks were great, actually. Jordan Travis made a poor decision on the pick 6 to Deloach. That's because he stared Deuce Spann down, and Deloach did a great job reading his eyes and pick the ball off. So shout out to Travis for that. Not Travis, sorry. Shout out to Deloach for that. But other than that, thought Travis looked good. I thought Duffy had a pick, right? I had a problem with Duffy's pick from the standpoint nothing was there. I don't know what he was doing when he threw that ball. He threw it to Brian Courtney, if I'm not mistaken. And Brian Courtney's not even open. I don't recall who was covering Courtney, but they had him locked up. And then Q Jones, shout out to Jones, the freshman, Quindarius Jones with the pick. Good pick for him. My problem with Duffy was that though, but overall, I thought Duffy played a great game. I thought I should say 4 quarterbacks because Brock Glenn got in there and did some good things. And I thought Tate Rodemaker did some Tate looks like the obvious QB too, in my opinion. Here's what I loved. I thought every QB that went in there looked poised, looked like they understood what they were doing, didn't get rattled, didn't look lost, made sound decisions outside of the Duffy interception and the Jordan Travis interception. Again, that wasn't a great decision by Travis to stare down a receiver. But nobody's going to kill Jordan Travis for that, right? The same way I don't think anybody should kill A.J. Duffy for his interception. Both weren't great decisions. But for the most part, I thought every quarterback made great decisions. They handled the offense well. They were poised. They just looked like they understood what was going on. And that's all you can ask for in a vanilla situation where, not much is really being asked from your quarterbacks in that aspect. I thought Brock Glenn looks promising, though. Brock Glenn looks promising. They hit one with Brock Glenn. He's got talent, man. He's got some stuff. Duffy's more athletic than I thought. I think you saw that in the spring. Tate has an arm. We've kind of always known Tate had an arm, but Tate's got an arm. And Jordan Travis is freaking Jordan Travis. But I like the way the quarterbacks played. I like the way they played. Let's get to a few more of these more comments, and then we get to the defense. Get done with this defense and get on up out of here. Even though we only at the hour 30 mark, so we good, man. We making good time. For a QB, I see competition for second string. Rodemaker need to probably step up. I see AJ taking that place. I disagree. I thought Rodemaker showed that he was clearly the second best quarterback on the roster. Just from the spring. Thought he clearly showed that. People hate Duffy. Yeah, people have been hating Duffy for a long time. I don't necessarily understand why they hate Duffy, but they do. Man, the Knicks are getting destroyed. Makes me want to turn that off. I thought Duffy was fine. I don't like the comparison. Oh, Brock Glenn was X, Y, and Z, and that makes Duffy X, Y, and Z. To be fair, Duffy played more of the legit second stringers and starters than Brock Glenn played. They kind of played two different caliber of players, where Glenn was really strictly going against like the walk-on secondary and stuff. Duffy was not. Don't think it's a valid comparison at all. Be happy that Brock Glenn looks like a competent quarterback. But we don't have to like one over the other. We don't have to be like, well, Glenn's great, so Duffy sucks, and vice versa. Be happy that you got 4 competent quarterbacks. Be happy about that. Glenn's body language was great. No panic. Recognized the mistakes before any coach was in his ear. He looked appropriately hard on himself for his misses. Really impressed with him. What's going on, Duval? No. Vontae thinks they'll be sending Duffy to the portal soon. I said on here years ago, one day Tate's going to grow and have that arm. He's almost there. Vontae says, I don't know why they hate him. Why they hate AJ, what he did. It's just people don't believe in him for whatever reason. They just ready to run him out of town. And then you get and what do we always do as fans, right? We love the new toys. Fans love the new toys. Brock Glenn's the new toy. Everybody's going to love him. But everybody wants Duffy to hit the portal, which I don't quite understand, but whatever. I'm questioning how serious Duffy is about football. Not sure why. Maybe you know something we don't. I think Duffy's fine. But let's go to the defense. But again, I thought the quarterbacks were fine. I thought the quarterbacks were actually very good. Exactly. I remember because it's just and that's how I know it's just Duffy hate. Before Chris Parsons ever signed the dotted line, when he just was committed, everybody, well, Chris Parsons going to jump AJ Duffy year one. No validity behind any of that. Just a blanket statement. And so that doesn't surprise me that they're even doing that with AJ Duffy at this point. So it is what it is. Defense, man. Defense. Again, watch the inside out. No Fisk. No Fabo. No Jaden Jones for that matter. Um, starting D line was Verse, and they rotated going left to right, but they swapped Verse and Pat from like series to series. So it started off with Verse, Briggs, Jackson, Peyton, and then they would put Peyton on the left side and Verse on the right side. So they you can see what they're doing there with the ends. And then the second unit was Anderson, Woody, AO, and this one surprised me. Who do you guys think was actually on the second unit starting opposite of Dante Anderson? Because it wasn't Byron Turner. I'll wait for y'all to answer that question. But while y'all look to answer that question, kind of like we did going down the offensive line, Verse and Peyton are Verse and Peyton. Jackson looked very explosive there. Jackson had a push on Roddick where he just mauled him. And that's kind of what we heard about Jackson all offseason, is that when he's on, he is on. Consistency is his problem, because there will be a play where he's on, and then there'll be a play where he just like loses, like he just maybe the motor isn't there, or he just takes a break. And maybe with the depth the way we have it, maybe you can get Jackson always on point. Briggs was just there, kind of. Won't say he played bad, but Briggs got the nod over Lyons and Farmer, but they rotated Lyons and Farmer very early. They rotated those guys very early. So I don't really think there's this. I mean, obviously you got Fable and Fisk, right? But then behind them, by the way, Malcolm Ray did not participate either. But Lyons is a player. Farmer's my guy. And then Briggs, Pat and Verse. They're Pat and Verse. I'm trying to see. None of you guys answered the question of who started opposite of Anderson, because it wasn't Boots. And I don't see anybody that answered that. Believe it or not, I actually had to double take when I looked. They put number 90. Bishop Thomas was at defensive end opposite of Dante Anderson on that second unit, which I thought was interesting. And he didn't play bad. Now, obviously, he has a different skill set, so like he wasn't getting to the passer like a Byron Turner was or Dante Anderson was. So he was being asked to do different things. But I found that extremely interesting that they threw Bishop Thomas out there at defensive end. And I don't know if that was just to get him more snaps. I don't know if that's just because a guy like Jaden Jones is hurt. Like, it wasn't Gilbert Edmond, who you would have thought would have been on that second unit. And it wasn't Byron Turner, who you thought maybe would have been on that second unit, right? It was Bishop Thomas. And speaking of this defensive line room, Edmonds got to be. Now, on my second look, he didn't play as bad as I initially said, but Edmonds still needs. You expect more from that. You expect more from Gilbert, and he did not flash at all, if any. Again, he was not a starter on either unit. They were mixing a lot. They were doing a lot of mixing on the defensive line, which is great. And Edmond did get plenty of playing time with the starting unit and the second unit, but he didn't start. And he didn't flash when he was in there. And I thought Armello was handling him fairly. Armello was handling Edmond fairly well from the snaps that I saw. And Edmond against either one of Edmond against Darius or Bless was getting he couldn't do anything with those two guys. I just expect more from Gilbert, and you didn't see it. Now he did make some plays. He had some moments, so he didn't play. Again, he didn't play as bad as I initially thought, but he wasn't great either. And so we're gonna need to see. We're going to need to see more, and we're also going to see what they do in the portal with that defensive end room. because that was interesting. I think a lot of people had a lot bigger expectations for Gilbert Edmond, and we didn't quite see it. Didn't quite see it. Didn't quite see it. No Bethune, right? Well, McClendon is not on the team anymore, Lewis, unfortunately. So, unless you're asking me who's a better player, Gilbert or McClendon, I don't want to. Man, that's tough. It's tough to ask. McClendon has more stats in Garnet and Gold than Gilbert does, obviously. But we'll wait and see, man. We got to wait and see before we call that one. I said DMAC need to come back. Right, like Bradley said, limited sample size. It's hard to answer that question. It's only been 3 months. I don't even want to, I really don't want to answer it. McClendon has more snaps in the Garnet and Gold uniform. That's the best way I can answer that. But we'll see. We'll see what Gilbert ends up giving us. What's up, Chad? No Tatum Bethune. But I thought this was very interesting. The defense played a lot of 4-3. Now, I think that had something to do with you were missing a few DBs, like no Jerry Jones, no Kirkland, no Kevin Knowles. But they played a 4-3, traditional 4-3 in the spring game. You saw Omar Graham at strong side, Lundy in the middle, and DeLoach on the weak side for a lot of the spring. They ran traditional 4-3 defense, which I was very shocked to see. Omar Graham was the standout. I mean, DeLoach was amazing. I'm talking about Omar just from the fact of, and I thought Lundy did his thing as well. But he's the unknown. We talked about them known knowns and unknown knowns and all those things we talked about in previous episodes. Omar Graham was extremely impressive. Covering, right? So he played the strong side. And what is the strong side backer? Well, that's the backer that's usually lined up over the tight end. And he covered the tight ends out the backfield. Graham was great in coverage, which I see why they put him on the strong side. I was extremely impressed by Omar Graham, number 36. And I probably had something to do with Gant deciding to, go ahead and head out and look for greener pastures elsewhere, because they might have hit, and they Adam Fuller specifically mentioned, like, they've invested a lot of snaps into Omar Graham this offseason, and it seemed to work in the spring. I thought Omar Graham was really good. I thought he played really well. I thought Steven Dix looks the best he's looked since his freshman year, where he had glimpses of being maybe the next big-time FSU backer, and then he fell off a cliff, and then he got hurt. I thought Dix looked way better than he's looked in a long time. I won't say he was perfect or great, but I thought Dix looked like you could put him on the field and not be concerned. So maybe Dix getting back in the swing of things and Graham taking that step probably leads to Gant hitting the road, right? That's probably what it ends up leading to. And Ward's out there. He got beat when he was covering Rodney Hill. He got beat for a touchdown, but he's a freshman backer, and he's a guy that there's not a lot of expectations on DeMarco Ward. So him just being out there, getting his feet wet, getting the reps, that's all going to work with him. That's all going to help him in the future. So don't take a lot from Ward and what you saw there. Just know that he's getting reps, and those reps are going to pay off in a good way. But overall, man, I really thought the backers were solid. I thought the backers were pretty solid, especially Graham and DeLoach, man. DeLoach was amazing. DeLoach was all over the field. If Kalen DeLoach plays like that in the season, like he played in the spring, you're talking about the second coming of Telvin. You're talking about definitely all ACC at a minimum. If DeLoach is playing like that all year, he was everywhere on the field. He's the one who initially forced the fumble on Rodney Hill and then picked it up and scored with it. Like, got the pick six. Deloach was everywhere, man. Deloach looked great. I'm so excited for Kalen Deloach. So excited for Deloach, man. So excited for Deloach. Secondary is a tough one to grade. Secondary is a tough one to grade because a lot of walk-ons played in this game. Now, your starters started. Your starting DBs were – your starting corners were Ronaldo and Fentrell. Again, they were playing 4-3, so there was not a third corner on there in some of those packages. But when they did go to the 4-2-5 look, Greedy was in the slot, number 21. And was it me or did Greedy Vance even look a little bigger? I felt like number 21 looked a little bigger than he looked last year. And then your starting safeties, which I thought were interesting. Your starting safeties was actually Shaheem and Omarion Cooper. Dent played a lot of snaps with the starting unit, but he didn't get the initial start. So that might be something to watch going forward. Very interesting development there, that the starting safeties was Marion Cooper, Duke Cooper, and Shaheem Brown. I don't know if Fentrell looked disinterested. I think the starting secondary was locked down. As a matter of fact, if you go look at all the passes that were completed, they were against either like freshmen, like a DeMarco Ward, or they were against legit walk-on guys. I mean, how many touchdowns did Jaden Floyd give up in the spring game, y'all? And I'm not here to bash on my man Jaden. Shout out to Jaden Floyd, but come on. How many touchdown passes did he give up? The starting unit and secondary, they were locked down. They were giving those receivers the business. Like that pass Travis threw to Kentron, that's on a walk-on. The pass AJ threw to Kentron with a one-handed grab, that's on a walk-on. Like the big passes came with the walk-on secondary, which is why the second unit DBs really get an incomplete grade because FSU's missing a lot of the guys that would be on that second unit. With Knowles being hurt, no Jerry and Jones. Kirkland did not participate. Rawls ain't on campus yet. Edwin's not on campus yet. Conrad Hussey's not on campus yet. And I'm convinced they add at least 2 to 3 DBs in the portal. I think 2 at a minimum they're going to add in the portal. They need to. That second unit DBs were all walk-ons, y'all. It was all walk-ons with the exception of Quindarius Jones, who played with that second unit, but everybody else is a walk-on. But that starting unit, in my opinion, was very good. I thought our starting secondary looked good. Looked very good. Second unit is where all the touchdowns came. But I thought Quindarius Jones looked very well. It looked like he belonged on the field. So let's see. That's the game though. Greedy was on his man like white on rice, covered great. Brian says, I don't know if it's that though. Our man coverage was tighter. Our zone led to at least one INT. I'm really happy with the improvement in technique in the secondary. 21 did some work since December. Spring game is always development check. People show up different. There you go. They either show up the same or worse. And I thought Greedy was one of the DBs that stood out. Just looks wise. I thought he looked different. I thought Greedy Vance just looked different, man. Shout out to Greedy Vance. And I don't want to know. I don't want to say you're seeing the Pat Surtain effect already, but again, just go watch the spring. That starting secondary wasn't giving up plays. That starting secondary there were no busted coverages. There was no guys open. Starting secondary, man, did their thing. So let's get with the final grades. I want to go, once again, we're just going to go run down the positions, and I'm just going to give the final grade of what I thought from our spring showcase. Quarterback. They threw 2 interceptions, but overall, I thought the quarterbacks played well, composed, poised games. They understood the assignment. They understood the offense. They were not rattled or anything of that nature. Freshmen, from freshman to senior, all looked in control. But those 2 interceptions count for something because I think they were 2 bad decisions. I think Travis threw a pass that he stared down a guy. And again, I don't know where Duffy was throwing this interception he threw because there was nothing there. And he just kind of threw one up for a prayer, which is a bad decision. I gave the quarterbacks overall a B. Two interceptions count for something. But overall, man, I thought the quarterbacks looked very well as a whole. I gave the quarterbacks a B overall. Running backs, I would have given them a flat out A, but the fumble, got to hold on to the football, A-. But other than that, man, I thought the running backs were well. On CJ looked great, LT looked good, Rodney looked great, minus the fumble, and then Benson got a few carries there, but nothing really to take from that. Talented room. You didn't see Keziah Holmes. You saw a glimpse of Trey Benson, but we know what Trey Benson is. Singletary's not on campus yet. Man, that's a talented group of players. A- from the running backs. Wide receivers, I'm going to give a B overall from the simple fact. They did good work against players they should have done good work against. I can't give them an A because against the starters, they didn't do anything. But Tron was doing his thing against the walk-ons. Hakeem, Vendravius Jacobs, they were doing their thing against the walk-on. But against that starting unit, I didn't see it. I didn't see it. And for that, I just got to give him a B. You know, I thought Tron did his thing, but I would have liked to see Tron do that against Ronaldo Green or Fentrell Cypress. And we didn't get any of that. So I gave him a solid B. Nothing more, nothing less. I thought tight ends get an A. I gave tight ends a flat-out A just because I love the way they were used. I talked about it on my initial thoughts. Thought tight ends were used extremely well. So a lot of the big passes were to tight ends. Morlock had a big one. Preston Daniels had like a couple of them. Jaheim caught one. I think Biscuit caught a few too. Tight ends were used. They were used a lot, and they were used effectively, and they will be used effectively going forward. A lot of 2 tight end sets. Man, shout out to the tight end room. I thought it got an A overall. You know, just just the way they were used, period. And then the O-line gets an A because they were fantastic. The starting unit was absolutely fantastic. The second unit had more breakdowns, but even then, I thought they did. Second unit did well against the second team D-line. However, when they played the first team D-line, that second unit did get overwhelmed. But that starting O-line unit was the best I've seen it in a long time. Our tackles were pretty shut down. Our tackles played their asses off in that spring showcase against one guy who's an NFL prospect and one guy who's looking to play his way into being an NFL prospect. 2 very good defensive ends. I thought our tackles did their thing in the showcase. And I thought the interior looked great as well. Maurice continues to show that he is not somebody that you're just gonna push out of the way. So that's the grades for the offense. B A B A A. Defense. D ends I'm giving an A+. Flat out A+ on the defensive ends because Patton Verse is Patton Verse. But Dante Anderson, man, I probably didn't talk about him enough. I was so elated to see a guy like that play that effectively. You know, we wondered about Byron Turner, and I was the one saying, like, this is a big offseason for Byron Turner. If Byron Turner does not come out here and do what he's supposed to do, he's probably one of the guys in the portal because they've invested time in this guy. He's been hurt. He's been here since I think he was a part of Mike Norvell's first recruiting class. If you can't get on the field, it's time to probably go. And not only did he get on the field, but when he got on the field, he was eating Byers up. Byron Turner was destroying Byers every chance he got. He had a couple plays in a row where he got sacks. Byron Turner did his thing at defensive end. Dante Anderson, also a guy who was doing his thing on Byers. Those two guys were killing it. And like I said, Pat and Verse. We know what those guys are. They look good. Pat looked like he did a little bit better in the run plays too. So shout out to Pat Payton on that. And then I thought the D tackles dominated. Now dominate's a strong word because your first unit did so good, but again, Jackson had some moments where he was giving Roddick the business. Tafasi looks explosive, guys. I know he was playing against some backups and some second and third stringers going against Stickle. I saw Tafasi playing against Schrader and Herring and some other guys, but Tafasi also was getting some snaps with the first team, just as a rotation guy. I thought Tafasi looks very much like he belongs. 91 has a bright future if he sticks with it. And unfortunately, I thought Woody looked good, but he has decided to hit the portal. So wish him his best. Talked about Jackson, Farmer, Lyons. They rotated a lot of D tackles, man. I thought they all had their moments. Linebackers get an A because Deloach and Omar Graham were absolutely outstanding. Lundy was doing his thing there. And even Dix looked a lot better. So linebackers, I got to give an A. And DBs. First unit, I give an A+. I just talked about DBs. And how that first unit was locked down. Second unit gets a flat-out D. They were giving up anything, but they were a bunch of walk-ons. What do you expect? So I graded them separately. I'm not going to let that second unit deflate what the first unit was able to do because that second unit wasn't full of a bunch of scholarship guys. That first unit was really good. And that second unit was not as good. That's my grades, man. Overall, man, at the end of the day, the spring is what you wanted to see. You saw what you needed to see in the spring. FSU's got a well physically and mentally developed football team. They are big in the trenches. They are explosive in the trenches. They are good at the skill positions. They have a healthy quarterback room. They are by far the best team in the state of Florida. Like, if we want to talk spring games, I still have not watched Miami's spring game from front to back. I did watch Florida's because it was a Thursday and I had nothing else to watch. That Florida spring game might be the worst level of football I've seen at any, like, at Florida spring. And I know it's just a spring, but holy cow. What Florida did in that spring was some of the ugliest stuff I've ever seen. And again, I haven't watched Miami to really give a fair judgment on Miami. So I'm not going to really talk about that. But Florida State looked good. I thought we looked good. You know, I'm not going to sit here and say, it's natty, national championship or anything like that. But I thought we looked good. We looked explosive and big in the places we needed to. Couple that with the fact that some of your big guns, a lot of your big guns did not participate. No Johnny Wilson, no Fabo, no Fisk, no Robert Scott, no Tatum Bethune. You take all of that into account, you should be very happy with what you saw. We'll hit the last amount of comments, and then we'll get out of here, man. But I went over a lot of stuff in today's show, man. So if you didn't catch me from the beginning, go back and watch me from the beginning. We talked the transfer portal. We talked Gant Woody. We talked recruiting, those 3 recruits we got over the weekend, and we broke down. I'm not going to brag on myself, but if that wasn't the most extensive spring breakdown that's been done so far, then I don't know what to tell y'all. I feel like I just gave y'all an accurate by-player breakdown almost. Definitely position by position. So Shout out to everybody who stuck with it, man. Hit that like button. Chris Robinson in the building. Always Orlando is on the check-in with the $20 dono. My man Chris. I still gotta make you a custom video, bro, and I will do that. I will do it.
Tallahassee on with the Seminoles. I've been getting to this paper, focus on my goals. Trying to run this money up and pull up in a row. All this talking gangster, that shit getting old.
And then my man Jeff with another one. He says Miami and Florida spring game was trash. Miami slightly better than Florida. But that's not saying much. I'll take your word for it, Jeff. Again, I didn't watch Miami, but I'll watch that Florida one.
Jeff.
And by the way, guys, just hit that like button for me, man. Smash the like.
Go your motherfucking ass to sleep. Whoa, shit, what the fuck good buddy hit me with? I told him I wasn't sleepy. He had to have a brick in that bitch.
I'm just reading some comments. Jalen says he liked what he saw out of Gilbert Edmond. Okay. I'm not going to say you were wrong. I don't know what you saw. But if you like it, I love it, bro. Maybe you saw something I didn't say. Jonathan Megasash. Yes, it is, bro. Yes, it is. Briley, the long one here, says, I'm glad Thompson is hitting this bit of a stride in recruiting because Mike loves to use the tight ends. And Thompson obviously teaches the position the way Norvell wants it based on the longevity together. Turner, another 1%er. I can see the vision now. He's another one like Tate. He's not quite grown yet. He can get there by fall. And Dan Squatch says 91 a dude. I agree. 91's a dude. Man, Woody, it's unfortunate. Like I said, Woody played a good spring. Got a lot of snaps. And it's hitting the portal. Unfortunate, man. Unfortunate. Champ. It's good. He says Barnes not an old tackle for sure. That's a Saturday. I agree. He would need to compete at offensive guard. I agree. 90 and 95 ain't no joke. 90's Bishop Thomas. 95 is Daniel Lyons. Both looked pretty good. Like Dan Swasher said, y'all hit that like button, man. This is the biggest I've seen the Knowles since 15. They look good, man. They look good. They're definitely being physically they in the weight room for sure. They look good. Talk about the freshman that's coming in the fall. Man, I don't know if those guys need to see the field. You know, I think the best guys to see the field are the three corners you're going to get. Because right now that's why you saw all the walk-ons. We kind of lack for some corner depth. Hussey, Edwin, and Rawls might be asked to compete in that secondary in the fall. But I do think they address that in the portal. I think they have to. Tyler says, coming out of the spring, say you have 3 scholarships to play with. How would you use them? I think your offense is straight. I honestly do. There's some people that think you want to add a receiver. I don't necessarily agree with that. And if the Dustin Hill rumors are true, I definitely don't think you need to address the wide receiver room. And you're getting Lawrence, Goldie Lawrence here in the fall as well as another receiver you're adding to the room. I go 2 DBs in the DN. If I had 3 scholarships to work with, 2 DBs, 1 safety, 1 corner. Hell, 2 safeties I probably wouldn't even mind. But definitely at least 2 DBs, and I take another DN. Riley says Miami looks exactly as expected. Slightly improved on D, but 1 injury away from a train wreck. Oh, I heard the O-line was bad. And let me tell you how you know the O-line bad. Again, I didn't watch the game, but I heard some things. You know you have a bad O-line when Ruben Bain, true freshman, is like blowing up every offensive play you have, that you can't even run a offense in the spring. And that has nothing to do with Ruben Bain being a good or bad player, but he's still a true freshman. You should have someone who can block that guy. You should have someone who can block him. that's definitely something I'll do in the future because we got some good guys to evaluate. So good point from Dan Squash. That's something to do coming shortly. Zoe, you always show up late nowadays. You be too busy streaming. You be too busy streaming Madden. I covered a little bit. I didn't talk too much about the next transfers. I more so talked about the spring and the guys that left and the recruits. Yeah, Knowles was out. Knowles didn't play. Missed the spring game, but how did the running backs look? They look good. They look good. Zoe says, I don't know. I feel we lose a running back and a wide receiver. The only running back I foresee us losing would be Campbell. That's the only guy. As far as wide receiver goes, I mean, Joshua Burrell, if you count Joshua Burrell, sure. Outside of that, I'm not too sure. Briley says, hard to tell because I was out. Benton told Philly we're on green. Hill and CJ both look good. Hill fumbled once, but all in all, running backs look good as expected, right? So there you have it, guys. Appreciate y'all, man. That was tonight's 2-hour-long show, but it's 2 hours worth it, in my opinion. So if you liked it, I loved it. As always, man, hit the like button on the way out. If you didn't hit the like button on the way in, if you're on Twitter, as you see on the screen, that's where you can follow me at. You can also follow me on Instagram if you're right there. And again, if you're new around here, for whatever reason, even if you're not new, but for whatever reason you just watch me every week, but you don't subscribe, just do yourself a favor. Hit the subscribe button. And for those who are subscribed, for whatever reason, you always show up late, Zoe. Hit my notification bell so you know when your boy goes live. Like, I've been on 2 hours. How you just now know when I'm live, bro? Hit my notification bell so you get alerted when I go live, so you can check me out. You be here from the minute. You don't miss a minute of, again, what is the livest show on YouTube for a Florida State fan. That's what we do over here. And again, y'all see that white wall behind me? Let me know. What do I need to put back there? I need to put something back there. We need to get some pictures or something on that wall in the back. But again, y'all hit the like button, subscribe, and share the channel as we continue to try to grow this community. I would love to somehow get to 2,000 subscribers before the beginning of this next season. I've been stuck at 1.8 for a while now. Maybe people just don't like me anymore, and that's fine too. It happens. I understand it. But as always, y'all, it is your boy. Oh, by the way, check, this is the shirt. Check out the shirt again. This one's in garnet. Check out that. Got a white one too. Got the white version of it. Y'all already seen the black version, and more stuff to come. But as always, man, it is your boy POLK over here on 863 Seminole TV. Stay classy, my Seminoles. It is a beautiful time to be a Florida State fan. We are the big dogs in the state, and we're trying to go back to being the big dogs in the nation. And we barking. We're starting to show some teeth. As always, man, hit the like button. We are out here. Stay classy and go Noles. Friday, I'll be on T2Y's channel. Y'all know what I do when I go over there. I put them in body bags. I hand out L's. I sun them. I get the Florida State fans to come over there and take over the channel. So y'all show up on Friday as we go over there and we take over. We out here, y'all. Y'all have a good rest of y'all Tuesday night. And my Knicks got demolished. 1-1 going back to New York. Hopefully we don't have another first round exit, man. But I'll holler at y'all. I'm out.